Elon Musk is known for his ambitious plans to colonize Mars. But did you know that he's also planning to build a city on Earth that will serve as a gateway to Mars? That's right. Musk has proposed building a city called Starbase in South Texas. Starbase will be home to SpaceX's next-generation Starship rocket factory, as well as launch pads, research facilities, and a residential area. Musk envisions Starbase as a city of the future, with sustainable transportation, cutting-edge technology, and a focus on space exploration. He believes that Starbase will be a magnet for talent and innovation, and that it will help to accelerate the journey to Mars. In this video, we'll take a closer look at Elon Musk's plans for Starbase. We'll discuss the goals of the project, the challenges that Musk faces, and the potential impact of Starbase on the future of space exploration. So, if you're interested in learning more about Elon Musk's city in Texas, then stay tuned. Elon Musk has made no secret of his goal to construct a Mars colony. His most recent endeavor is to build a metropolis on Earth. Musk intends to call the city Starbase Texas after SpaceX's South Texas launch facility at Boca Chica. The FAA has officially given Elon Musk's SpaceX environmental authorization to expand its Starbase, South Texas facilities, and test rockets for a potential Mars expedition. The announcements came after months of delays and environmental opposition. The headquarters of SpaceX are in a tiny coastal beach town bordered by the Lower Rio Grande National Wildlife Refuge. Musk sees the site as a central transit hub for regular journeys to Mars, even suggesting that the facility's location be named Starbase. Everyone who works at the launch site, everyone who wants to travel on the rocket, and anyone who wants to experience the incredible power of a launch would be housed there. Musk thinks that it will someday be the point of departure for people traveling to Mars, with each gigantic Starship spacecraft capable of delivering up to 100 people to the Red Planet at a time. As they prepare for their departure, they will require the type of living space and infrastructure that only a town or metropolis can supply. As a result, converting Boca Chica into Starship Texas may be required for most people to realize his goal of space travel. Musk addressed the Cameron County administration in late February, early March 2021, to start the process of building his city. According to a press release issued by the county, Judge's Office Moscow is required to follow all relevant statutes and that any application would ultimately be judged against applicable laws. In 2014, SpaceX announced its intentions to build a launch facility at Boca Chica Village on the U.S. Gulf Coast, following an extensive environmental assessment conducted by the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration. Unlike Musk, who launches his Falcon rockets from NASA and the U.S. government, the Boca Chica site is owned by the company. It is right next to the Boca Chica village, and while most residents sold up and moved away, a few refused to deal. They are now required to temporarily evacuate their homes whenever there is a launch, and there are many planned. Boca Chica is the home of Musk's most daring space vehicle, the Starship, as well as the massive rocket known as Super Heavy, which will launch it into space. It is unlike anything ever attempted before and will be the most powerful rocket ever launched when completed. It's a really ambitious project, says Josh Barker of the National Space Center in Lancaster. It has something to do with how SpaceX got to where they are. I believe they are not scared to attempt new things, hence SpaceX is ahead of the competition. As opposed to the tiny crew capsules that space agencies have typically employed, most of Starship's interior space will be dedicated for residential quarters or modified to transport cargo. The very heavy rocket that will transport it to orbit is 70 meters tall and 9 meters in diameter, and it is fueled initially by 29 Raptor engines produced in Texas by SpaceX. When stacked on top of each other, the Starship and Super Heavy reached over 120 meters in height, approximately 10 meters taller than NASA's Saturn V rockets used to send people to the moon in the late 1960s or early 1970s. Unlike the Saturn V, which was a one-time use spacecraft, it will be able to provide roughly double the force of the NASA moon rocket. Both the Starship and the Super Heavy are reusable. Both components land vertically on the launch pad at the end of the mission. The launch sites have evolved at a breakneck pace. Major construction began in earnest in 2016, and the facility was ready for test launches in 2019. Such rapid progress has become a SpaceX trademark, with Musk himself appearing to be a driven individual. The first major test flight at Boca Chica occurred in December 2020, when a Starship took to the skies to test the vertical landing system. It almost succeeded but exploded when it made contact with the pad. 4 more test flights were required before a Starship could successfully land on May 5, 2021. If the previous test demonstrated anything, it was the launch site's resistance to explosive mishaps. SpaceX began referring to the Boca Chica as Starbase in March and is preparing to launch the Starship and Super Heavy combination on its first orbital test flight. It took the company about 16 months of additional construction to prepare the site for an orbital launch pad. This includes a launch table for the Super Heavy, a launch tower to lift the Starship onto the Super Heavy and hold the giant rocket in place before ignition, and a tank farm containing fuel and other liquids that will be pumped into the rocket before launch. Mechazilla, a pair of gigantic arms, has also been installed on the structure. They practically sliced and stabilized the returning incredibly heavy rocket as it landed softly on a platform. Whether Musk's ambitions to integrate a community near the launch site are permitted or not, Starbase will surely become one of the world's most significant launch locations. This is because the A spacecraft, the lunar lander for their Artemis program. Although the astronauts will launch from Cape Canaveral, Florida, their Orion crew capsule will not be able to land on the moon's surface. Instead, of an unmanned Starship will be launched from Boca Chica ahead of time and placed in a parking orbit around the moon. It will wait for the Orion capsule to arrive, dock with it, and allow the astronauts to transfer over. They will then pilot the Starship down to the rehearsal for Musk's ultimate goal of Mars exploration. Even though it seems like science fiction, Barca says Musk's goal of reaching Mars should not be underestimated. SpaceX's appeal to anybody interested in establishing a new career in the commercial space sector, or simply wanting to be near to the world's richest man in his obsession with orbit, Mars, and beyond, is the sun, sand, and spaceships. SpaceX presently has over 1,000 job opportunities at its U.S. offices, which are offered on its website as well as on job search websites, such as Indeed. Almost 15% are in Brownsville, Texas, near the Starship Development Center, commonly known as Starbase, or the Sleepy Gulf Coast Village, formerly known as Boca Chica. SpaceX's efforts in the development of Starship were centered at Starbase, Elon Musk's next-generation vehicle, which he thinks can someday take thousands of passengers to Mars. However, it has already been selected to ferry NASA Artemis humans to the moon later this decade. NASA stated this week that Starship will be the chosen mode of transportation for the Artemis Complete mission. The second rough lunar landing of the program is expected for 2027. Starship is scheduled to handle Artemis 3 as early as 2025. The first primitive lunar landing mission in nearly a half-century may take place at Starbase, as may much of the planning for these expeditions. The first original Starship test flight is slated for next month. For the first time, a Starship would be launched into space. Making a brief trip into orbit before crashing down off the coast of Hawaii, Super Heavy will attempt to land on an offshore platform in the Gulf of Mexico. In addition, SpaceX aims to shift part of its Starship operations to Cape Canaveral, Florida. If Musk realizes his ambition of employing Starship for frequent trips to space, both for cargo missions such as those necessary to maintain and extend his amazing internet service for speedy point-to-point flights around the world through orbit, then Starbase will be a key port of call. If all of that happens, this previously peaceful stretch of Texas shore near South Padre Island's vacation town would most certainly become a boom town. SpaceX is already looking for a variety of professions, including flight engineers and kitchen personnel. Earlier this month, the firm launched a sleek promotional film that depicted an idealized depiction of what it's like to work and live in the Starbase region. The video pitch deck contains everything from nightlife scenes to kids' school and even doggy daycare. There are also countless glamour shots of rockets, including some that are rather large. If you're planning to work at SpaceX, you need be prepared to make a big financial investment, especially if you want to make it to any of the major milestones, such as landing on the moon or Mars. Musk is well known for expecting a lot from his staff while failing to fulfill his own deadlines. He had hoped to put spacecraft on Mars by 2022, but nothing rivals the food of South Texas. That's all for this video on Elon Musk's city in Texas, Starbase. We hope you found it informative and interesting. If you're interested in learning more about Starbase, you can visit the SpaceX website or follow Elon Musk on Twitter. We also want to thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe to the channel for more incredible videos like this. We'll be back soon with another intriguing video. In the meantime, if you have any questions or comments about Starbase, please feel free to leave them below. Thanks again for watching.